Shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I want to say all praise to Ahaya, Bahasham, Yeshua, and shout out to the 12 tribes out there doing the work in sincerity and spirit and truth. And I want to go into this breakdown tonight on, it's called Our Dreads of the Heathen, okay? And it's on dreads. And we're going to see that there's 3 different types of dreads, all right? Actually 4 if you include the heathens. But 3 types of dreads that we dealt with as a people. Okay, and we're going to go straight up into it. Alright, so we're going to get Songs of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5. Alright, so Solomon had dreads. Or Salakia, forgive me. Solomon had locks. We want to see what type of locks Solomon had. His head is as fine gold. His head is as most fine gold. His locks are bushy and black as a raven. Alright? So it said Solomon had locks. So we're going to go into what type of locks Solomon had. Alright, Israel? So let's get the Strongs and let's get the etymology on the word that was used right there in regards to Solomon's locks. Alright? One moment. Okay, and the word that was used for Solomon locks was Gwawataza. All right, they have it spelled different in the fake Jewish tongue. Gwavetaza, but it's actually in ancient Hebrew is Gwawataza. All right, so it means feminine passive participle of H6972 in original sense, a forelock. Okay, so in original sense, it's a forelock. All right, so it was talking about the long hair that reached beyond his forehead. That's what she was talking about. It was when she was speaking of Solomon's locks, she says his head is as most fine gold, and his locks are bushy. Are bushy and black as a raven. All right, so it's the locks of his forehead. All right, so let's read it again. This is actually the Hebrew lexicon H977 Gwawataza. It says in original sense a forelock. All right, so that's the locks that Solomon had. So Solomon had locks, but he didn't have heathen East Indian Egyptian dreads. Okay. Now we're going to actually go to Samson right quick, because we also know Samson had locks, and a lot of people like to go to Samson and make the argument to do locks. All right, this is Solomon. This is Samson, or Salakia. This is Judges, chapter 16, verse 13. It says, "And Delilah said unto Samson, Hitherto thou hast mocked me, and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, If thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web." Let's read it one more time. All right, Judges 16:13. "And Delilah said unto Samson, Hitherto thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, If thou weavest," all right, so weave means to intertwine, to interlace, or to interwoven. All right, this is speaking of his hair. This is speaking of a braid. It's not talking about how dreads are done. All right, this is speaking of a braid. All right, so it says, "Weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web." 7 braids, all right, of my head with the web. The web, just like when a brother gets his hair braided, it looks like a web. They might get 7 braids. All right, so and it's interwoven, intertwined into his head, locked to his scalp. Okay. So we get the term lock from, because it's locked to his scalp. All right. And let me finish it. 7 locks of the web with my head. All right. So if he had dreads before he met Delilah, how is she going to go take that out and then weave 7 locks of the web, which is braids, into his head? That doesn't make sense, right? So we're going to etymology that on the word that was used here with Samson. Also, and see what type of locks Samson had. Did he have 4 locks? Did he have the Gwawataza? All right, the 4 locks like Samson? or that's Salakia, or like Solomon. All right, so we're going to see which one Samson had. All right, and it says for Samson, it says Makalapa. All right, this is Hebrew Lexicon, Strong's H 4253, Makalapa, or Salakia, Makalapa. All right, it's not the ka. So when you look at it, it says a ringlet of hair gliding over each other. Lock. That's a braid, brothers and sisters. When you look at the ancient artifacts and a lot of the ancient pictures and stuff of, well, not an ancient picture, but the ancient pictures of the artifacts, of the inscriptions and stuff, of the ancient Hebrews, you'll see that they have braids. They didn't have dreads. They didn't going everywhere all over their head. They had nice braids. All right, going back, you know, like if they was in captivity or they were about to go to war or something, they would put their hair into braids. You know, you can't be going to war with an afro, you know, a big afro everywhere, you know. So we're going to keep it going on that. Now, let's go to what the Most High said to the priests in Ezekiel 44 and 20. All right, this is Ezekiel 44 and 20. It says, neither, this is speaking about the priests, neither shall they shave their heads, nor suffer their locks to grow long. They shall only poll their heads. All right, poll means to trim. And when you go into it, we're going to go into the etymology on it. So we're going to read it again. All right, so this is Ezekiel 44 and 20. Neither shall they shave their heads, this is speaking about the priests, nor suffer their locks to grow long. They shall only poll their heads. All right, so if they're the priests of the Most High, they're not supposed to be looking out of order. They're supposed to poll means trim, to trim their hair nicely. All right, so it says when you go to the word locks that was used for the priest, all right, same thing. We're going to do the same thing. The word locks that was used for them is para, or in the fake Hebrew tongue they say pira. All right, and it's Strong's it's Strong's H6545 out the Hebrew lexicon, and it says para, the hair, disheveled locks. So if you don't know what the word disheveled means, it means out of order and disorderly. All right, so it's when the Most High says this to the priest, his holy priest, he's saying you're not supposed your locks. And when you go into etymology of the locks that was used here, para, it says disheveled locks. It says they're not supposed to have their locks, their hair to grow long and be everywhere. All right, like rosters do, and the people, and there's a lot of brothers and sisters that grow those locks. All right, the Most High said that the priests were to trim them or poll them. All right, so the priests had locks, but it wasn't to grow long and be everywhere. It was to trim it. All right. Samson had locks, but it was braids woven together, intertwined. Who else were we missing? Solomon had locks, all right, but it was speaking of the forelock of his hair. All right. None of this was speaking of a heathen dread, brothers and sisters, an East Indian, ancient Egyptian dread. It's not speaking of that. All right, so let's keep it moving with the scriptures. Leviticus 18 and 3 with the law. All right, it's Leviticus 18 and 3. Well, I'll start at 2. Speak unto the children of this is the Most High telling Moses. Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, I am the Most High your power, or I am the Lord your God, as it says. All right. But after the doings, verse 3, after the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. Ye shall do my judgments and keep mine ordinances to walk therein. I am the Most High your power. So we're not supposed to keep any of the ordinances or any of the ways or do any of the things that the Egyptians do. When the Egyptians braid their hair. All right, I mean, maybe not this day, but the ancient Egyptians would braid their hair. Not braid. The ancient Egyptians would dread their hair. They would dread their hair. They would have dreadlocks. Okay, and the East Indians still keep that custom to this day. All right. So we're not supposed to do anything that the heathen does, or especially the Egyptians. All right. Keep that in mind, Israel. Let's get Proverbs 3:31. All right. This is Proverbs 3:31. It says, "Envy not thou oppressor, and choose none of his ways." Let's read it one more time. Proverbs 3:31. "Envy not thou the oppressor, and choose none of his ways." We're not supposed to choose any of the ways of our oppressors. The Egyptians oppressed us at once. All right. So this commandment, even, I mean, this, yeah, it's a commandment also. You know, the Most High telling us not to envy our oppressor and choose none of his ways. So that even still goes to this day. We're not supposed to be dreading our hair like the East Indians and do this to this day, and the ancient Egyptians used to do back then. All right. So let's not do that anymore, Israel. Proverbs 14:12. Okay, we're not supposed to envy our oppressor. This Proverbs 14:12. It says, "There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death." So it might seem right unto us, you know, dreads. It might feel like a cultural thing. You know, my pops had dreads. Pop had them before I was born. You know, so on and so forth. It might seem like a cultural thing. It might seem like it's cool, or rebelling against the government, and so on and so forth. But it's actually a way of the heathen, and taking up the ways of the heathen ultimately leads to death, because sin is transgression of the law, and the wages of sin is death. You can't get around that, and there's no beating around the bush when it comes to it, Israel. All right. So let's get Daniel 7:9, and we're gonna see what our Creator looks like. All right. This is Daniel 7:9. It says, "I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit." Who is the Ancient of Days, y'all? The Most High. All right? He is the Ancient of Days. He's before the creation of days. So he's the Ancient of Days, right? All right. It says, we'll start it again. Daniel 7:9. "I beheld till the throne were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit." So he's saying he beheld this. Beheld means he saw this. It means he looked upon this, right? Whose garment, or he witnessed it, whose garment was white as snow, and his hair and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. All right. So it said his hair was like pure wool, not like dreads, right? Said our Creator's hair was like pure wool. When you look at that, you watch the old school What's Happening, or the old school how we looked in the 70s with the afro. That's the natural growth. That's the pure wool. All right, that like our Creator. All right, but if a brother's going to war, if we're going to war, you need to put a helmet on, or I've seen some brothers, they're going into jail, they get their hair braided or something. Getting our hair braided is our custom, all right? But but when your hair's out, it looks like a lion, like pure wool, like your Creator, right? All right, so that's the only point we're making. So we're going to go to the sun and see also what the sun looked like, right? And we're going to get that in Revelation's first chapter. All right, this is Revelations chapter 1, verse 13. This is John on the island, John the Revelator on the island of Patmos, right? Well, I'm going to start at the first verse right quick. It says, "The revelation of Yeshua HaMashiach," or some say Jesus Christ, which the Most High gave unto him to show, who is him? John. To show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass, and he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John, who bear record of the word of the Most High, and the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach, and of all things that he saw. All right? So we're going to go on one of the things that John saw, right? All right, so this is verse 13. "And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one likened unto the Son of Man, clothed with the garment, the Son of Man," right? That's the Most High Son. "Clothed with the garment down to the foot, and a girt about the paps, So about his girdle, he had a golden girdle. All right. It says about his paps. His head and his hairs were white like wool. All right. So even the Savior, even the Son of the Most High, had the same as his father, wool hair. He didn't come with dreads rocking and shaking, or so on, so on and so forth, or just a Caesar ball fade. He had the hair of wool. All right. We're just gonna finish it out though. It says, and his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as the flame of fire. All right, and his feet like unto fine brass. All right, brass derivative of brown, as they burn in a furnace. All right, so we obviously know the Savior was a dark-skinned black man. Anybody ever had? You get a new penny now, it's gonna be the shiny brown, so on and so forth. But 30, 40 years from now, 10 years down, telling how many dirty people's pockets it go through, it's gonna get browner and browner and browner. But this are darker and darker and darker. But it says as it burnt in the furnace. All right. So we know a furnace melts metal, it melts things. All right. So the Savior was a very, very dark-skinned black man. All right, but that's not the point right here. But right now, we had to finish it out to make that point for the Savior, because we're always going to speak for His sake when we get a chance. All right. So now let's keep it going. Let's get Colossians 3 and 9. This is Colossians 3 and 9. Lie not one to another, seeing ye have put off the old man with his deeds. All right, so we need to put off the old man, right? A lot of people are coming in the truth with dreads and still haven't, put off that. That's still that old part of you. All right. I've had brothers admit to me that said that in the truth, that said when they had dreads, they had more of a wild spirit, but when they cut them off, they calm down more. All right, there's more patient and stuff. All right, that's a testimony of mine. All right, so not saying I had dreads, but a testimony that a brother told me that had dreads. All right, for the record, it says verse 10, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in the knowledge after the image of him that created him. All right, so when you're renewed in this knowledge and you get in this truth, you find out, boom, oh man, dreads is of the heathen. You put on the new image of your Creator, man. You grow your hair out natural and right and take care of it. All right, you don't do like the heathen does with it. Okay. All right, so let's keep it going. Let's get 1 Corinthians 11 and 14. All right, this is 1 Corinthians 11:14. Doeth not even nature teacheth itself, that if a man have a long hair, is it a shame? It is a shame unto him. All right. So if a man have long hair, it's a shame unto him. Right. So let's say, okay, let me exemplify. So check this out. So if, like, we're speaking about the froze and the natural, right? So if you got a natural or the afro, even if it's wide and out big, it really can't be considered long because it's growing outward and up, right? So if a man has long hair, okay, so it's against nature. Say for instance, I don't go to the bar or anything like that, but say for instance a brother went to a bar and he's on the dance floor, dance with a sister, whatever, and he looks towards the bar and sees people. And everybody's backs towards him, and all he sees is dreads. Say, for instance, this is a bar in Jamaica. We're going to use Jamaica tonight. All right. So, say, for instance, this is in Jamaica, and he looks and sees dreads. Who is he? And he sees nothing but back and dreads. Who is he going to decipher who's the woman? Right? So, in nature, even kind of teaches herself it's a shame for a man to have long hair like that. All right? So we're going to go to Ephesians 6 and 17 to finish this up. Ephesians 6 and 17. And this is speaking about taking up the armor and the breastplate and all the girding yourself of the Most High, right? All right. Verse 16. Verse 17. Ephesians 6 and 17. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High. All right. So this is talking about metaphorically and spiritually, the scripture here. All right. So it's telling you to take on the helmet of salvation. We're always keep the helmet's close to your head, close to your mind. So it's the closest thing to your mind and your head, and it's protection. So it's telling you to always remember and keep close in your head is the salvation, right? But when you go to this and you look at the helmet and you think of war, how could a person put a helmet on if they had dreads and go to war and fight for Israel, right? How you gonna put a helmet on if you got dreads like the Rastas do in Jamaica, right? That doesn't make sense. All right. So I hope this is edifying, and we just got to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments. It's not a hard thing, you know. There's a lot of stuff that some of us haven't let go since coming into the truth, you know. But that's why this video was made, and that's why other brothers and sisters is here to try to you know, give brothers counsel if they need understandings on a topic like this. All right, it's really a minor topic, but it's still a topic anyways. All right, so Kwam Yasharala, and hope this is edifying. Blessings to Israel and curses to the heathen. Shalom.